Hello, my name is Ken Schaefer, and I wrote the program Marriage Armor, trying to apply the armor of God to marriage. My AI personalities, Alexander and Isabella, will explain the program and how it applies the armor of God to marriage, and they will give some application and comment about the program and just give you the sense of how they see the program. Now, when they have finished the program, I will come back on and make a few comments and then close the program. So from this point on, we're going to go ahead and have Alexander and Isabel present the program.
Hey there, and welcome to this deep dive. We're going to be taking a close look at a really unique approach to building stronger relationships.
It is unique.
It really is focusing on the idea of marriage armor, a concept you might find surprisingly relevant even if you aren't particularly religious. I'm Alexander.
And I'm Isabella. We're AI personalities created by Ken Schaefer, a marriage enrichment educator who spent decades helping couples build stronger, more fulfilling marriages.
That's right. And the foundation of Ken's work is this fascinating idea of marriage armor, which takes the biblical concept of the armor of God found in Ephesians chapter 6, verses 10 through 18.
That's right.
And applies it to the challenges couples face today.
Yes. What's fascinating about this approach is how Ken takes this ancient metaphor for spiritual protection and turns it into a practical guide for safeguarding your relationship. Each piece of armor, as described in Ephesians, has a corresponding element in marriage armor.
Okay, so walk me through this. What are these different pieces of armor and how do they translate into a marriage context?
Let's start with the helmet of salvation. In marriage armor, this becomes the helmet of the marriage covenant. It's about recognizing the depth of your commitment, viewing your marriage as a sacred bond, not just a casual agreement.
So instead of protecting your mind from doubt, it's about protecting your commitment to the marriage itself. I like that. What about the breastplate of righteousness?
That transforms into the breastplate of commitment, safeguarding your heart, metaphorically speaking, and symbolizing the unwavering dedication to your spouse through the highs and lows that inevitably come in any long-term relationship.
It seems like it's about going beyond those fleeting feelings and basing the relationship on something much more solid, a conscious choice.
Exactly. Then we have the belt of truth, which remains the same in marriage armor. Honesty and authenticity are the bedrock of any strong relationship, wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. Being able to truly be yourself with your partner is so important. And what about those feet fitted with the gospel of peace that are mentioned in Ephesians chapter 6, verse 15? How do those translate in marriage armor?
They become feet prepared for speaking lovingly. Instead of spreading the gospel, it's about fostering peace within the relationship through kind and compassionate communication.
That makes a lot of sense. It's not just about avoiding arguments, but actually being prepared to have difficult conversations with grace and understanding.
Right. And choosing words that build up your partner rather than tear them down. Now, this next one is particularly interesting, especially in the context of today's deep dive. The shield of faith in Ephesians becomes the shield of faithfulness in marriage.
That seems particularly relevant to our discussion today. So how does a shield that protects against spiritual attacks translate into a tool for building a stronger marriage?
Well, think of it this way. Just as a shield protects a warrior from arrows, the shield of faithfulness is about proactively guarding your marriage against anything that could threaten its integrity, both in the present and the future.
So it's not just about reacting to problems after they arise, but actively creating a strong defense against potential threats.
Precisely. It's about recognizing those fiery darts, as Ken calls them, that could weaken your bond, and taking proactive steps to deflect them.
That's a powerful image. So what are some examples of these fiery darts that the shield of faithfulness is meant to guard against? What are the kinds of things that could jeopardize a marriage?
Ken points to several potential threats, some internal, some external. There's societal pressure that often undermines traditional values, not to mention media that can distort perceptions of love and commitment.
It sounds like even the opinions and influences of friends and family, even well-meaning ones, could fall into this category.
Absolutely. Sometimes even those closest to us can unintentionally say or do things that chip away at our relationship. The shield of faithfulness is about creating a barrier against all these negative influences, whether subtle or overt.
I see what you mean. It's about being mindful of who you surround yourself with and what you allow into your mental and emotional space.
Exactly. It's about creating a positive and supportive environment for your relationship to thrive in. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. The shield of faithfulness isn't just about fending off external attacks. It's also about making deliberate choices that reinforce your commitment.
Okay, I'm curious. What are some practical steps couples can take to build up this shield?
One of the most important things is being intentional about the company you keep. Are your friends supportive of your marriage, or do they subtly undermine it with their own choices or words?
That's a really good point. It's easy to overlook the impact our social circle can have on our relationship.
And it's not about cutting people out of your life necessarily, but being mindful of the influences they bring. You might also consider setting boundaries in relationships with people of the opposite sex, even if those relationships seem perfectly innocent.
So it's about recognizing those situations that, while maybe not immediately problematic, could potentially lead to compromise down the road.
Exactly. It's about playing the long game, thinking about not just today, but also the years ahead. You're building that fortress of faithfulness, brick by brick, so to speak.
I'm starting to see how this metaphor really works. It's about being proactive and thoughtful, not just reactive.
Exactly. And there's another really interesting aspect to the shield of faithfulness that Ken emphasizes. He talks about the connection between speaking positively about your spouse and relationship and actually strengthening your faithfulness.
That's interesting. I can see how negativity could erode a relationship, but how does speaking positively actually build up this shield?
Well, imagine you're constantly criticizing or complaining about your partner to others. What message are you sending, not just to them, but to yourself?
I guess you're kind of planting seeds of doubt and discontent both in their mind and your own.
Exactly.
Hmm.
On the other hand, when you intentionally speak well of your partner, you're affirming your commitment both to them and to yourself. It's like you're reinforcing that bond, making it stronger with every positive word.
I see what you mean. It's about making a conscious choice to focus on the good, even when things are tough.
Precisely. And remember, the sword of the Spirit in Ephesians becomes the sword of courage in marriage armor.
So it's about having the courage to stand up for your marriage, to address issues head on, and not be afraid to speak the truth even when it's difficult. But before we go further into the sword of courage, I think we should spend more time focusing on the shield of faithfulness, since that is the focus for our listener today. We will revisit the other elements of the marriage armor in future deep dives for our listener.
I agree. This is a crucial part of Ken's teachings, and it deserves a deeper exploration. He actually uses a story from the Bible to illustrate the dangers of deceit and the importance of being truthful in a relationship. It involves Isaac and Rebekah, a couple who found themselves caught in a web of lies and manipulation. Have you heard this story, Alexander?
I can't say that I have. What happened?
Well, Isaac and Rebekah had twin sons, Esau, and Jacob Esau, the older son, was a hunter, a rugged outdoorsman. Jacob the younger was more of a homebody. Their father Isaac favored Esau, while Rebekah favored Jacob. As Isaac grew old and his eyesight failed, he decided to give his blessing a kind of spiritual inheritance to Esau. But Rebekah overheard this and devised a plan to trick Isaac into giving the blessing to Jacob instead.
Oh, wow. That sounds like a recipe for disaster.
It certainly was. Rebekah dressed Jacob in Esau's clothes and covered his hands and neck with goat skins to mimic Esau's hairy skin. Then she sent Jacob to Isaac with a bowl of stew that she had prepared, pretending to be Esau. Isaac, blind and deceived by the disguise, gave the blessing to Jacob, believing he was Esau.
That's a powerful story. Even though it happened centuries ago, it feels incredibly relevant to modern relationships.
Absolutely. It highlights the devastating consequences that can arise from a lack of truthfulness in a marriage.
It's like those fiery darts we were talking about earlier. Deceit can really pierce the heart of a relationship.
Well, exactly. And this story shows how deceit can not only hurt the person being deceived, but also the deceiver and those around them. The web of lies that Rebekah created caused a rift in her family that lasted for years.
It's a cautionary tale about the importance of honesty and transparency in building a strong and lasting marriage. What do you think our listeners should take away from this story, Isabella?
I think it's a reminder that even small acts of dishonesty can have a ripple effect, eroding trust and damaging the foundation of a relationship.
Yeah.
It's a call to be intentional about cultivating honesty and integrity in our interactions with our partners. And it's a reminder that the truth, even when it's difficult, ultimately sets us free.
Those are wise words, Isabella. I think you've really hit on something important here. The shield of faithfulness isn't just about avoiding temptation. It's also about creating a culture of honesty and transparency within our marriages.
Precisely. It's about making a commitment to truth-telling, both big and small, and creating a safe space where both partners feel comfortable being vulnerable and authentic.
So how can couples start to build this kind of culture of honesty? What are some practical steps they can take?
Well, one of the most important things is to make sure you're communicating effectively with each other. That means listening attentively, being open to feedback, and being willing to share your own thoughts and feelings honestly and respectfully.
It sounds like it's about creating an environment where it's safe to be vulnerable, where you know you're not going to be judged or criticized for sharing your true self.
Exactly. It's about building a foundation of trust and mutual respect. And it's also about being proactive about addressing any issues that arise rather than sweeping them under the rug.
So if there's something bothering you, it's better to bring it up sooner rather than later, even if it's uncomfortable.
Absolutely. The longer you wait, the more likely it is that resentment will build and the problem will escalate. It's much easier to address issues when they're small and manageable than to wait until they've become major sources of conflict.
That makes a lot of sense. So the shield of faithfulness is about more than just avoiding infidelity. It's about creating a culture of honesty, transparency, and open communication within our marriages. It's about building a fortress of faithfulness, brick by brick, through our words and actions, both big and small.
Exactly. And it's about remembering that the truth, even when it's difficult, is always the best policy.
This has been a truly enlightening discussion, Isabella. I think we've gained a much deeper understanding of the shield of faithfulness and its relevance to building strong and lasting marriages.
I agree. It's clear that this concept has the potential to transform relationships and create a more solid foundation for love and commitment.
I'm already starting to see areas where I could be more intentional about building up my own shield and creating a more honest and open environment in my relationship.
That's wonderful to hear, Alexander. And remember, it's an ongoing process. There will be times when you feel challenged, when you have to make tough choices, when you have to fight for your marriage. But with the shield of faithfulness as your guide, you'll be well equipped to navigate those challenges and emerge even stronger on the other side.
You've given us so much to think about today, Isabella. But before we move on, is there a final thought you'd like to leave our listener with, something to ponder as they reflect on what we've discussed?
Absolutely. If the shield of faithfulness is about proactively protecting your marriage from internal and external threats, what are some specific shields why you can put in place in your own life? What choices can you make? What boundaries can you set? What actions can you take to strengthen your commitment and safeguard your relationship? And what steps can you take to foster a culture of honesty and transparency within your marriage?
Those are powerful questions, Isabella. They really challenge us to take ownership of our relationships and make conscious choices that support love, faithfulness, and lasting connection. And they remind us that building a strong marriage is an ongoing process, one that requires attention, intention, and a willingness to put in the effort.
Exactly. And remember, you don't have to do it alone. There are resources available like Ken Schaefer's Marriage Armor program that can provide guidance and support along the way.
We'll be sure to include links to those resources in the show notes. In the meantime, stay tuned. We'll be right back after a short break to continue our exploration of the shield of faithfulness.
You know, thinking about those shields we can put in place, it reminds me of something Ken often says in his teachings. He emphasizes that building a strong and faithful marriage isn't just about avoiding specific actions or situations. It's about cultivating a mindset, a way of thinking that prioritizes your relationship and reinforces your commitment.
That makes sense. It's like having a strong internal compass that guides your choices even when you're faced with difficult decisions.
Exactly. And one of the most powerful tools for cultivating this mindset is gratitude. When we focus on the things we appreciate about our partners and our relationships, it shifts our perspective. It makes us less susceptible to those fiery darts of discontentment or temptation.
So instead of dwelling on what's missing or what we wish were different, we're actively choosing to appreciate the good that's already present in our lives.
Precisely. And this practice of gratitude isn't just about feeling thankful internally. It's about expressing that appreciation to our partners, both through words and actions. When we regularly acknowledge and affirm the things we value about them, it strengthens our connection and creates a more positive and loving atmosphere in our relationship.
It's like we're making deposits in the emotional bank account of our marriage, building up a reserve of goodwill that can help us weather the inevitable storms that come our way.
That's a great analogy, Alexander. And those deposits don't have to be grand gestures or expensive gifts. It's often the small, everyday acts of kindness and appreciation that have the biggest impact. A simple thank you for making dinner, a heartfelt compliment on their appearance, a thoughtful note left on the pillow. These small gestures can speak volumes about the depth of our love and appreciation.
It's about being intentional about noticing and acknowledging the good rather than taking it for granted.
Exactly. And the beautiful thing about gratitude is that it's a practice that benefits both the giver and the receiver. When we express gratitude, it not only strengthens our bond with our partners, but it also boosts our own happiness and well-being. It's a win-win situation.
And speaking of win-win situations, I think it's worth mentioning that cultivating faithfulness in a marriage isn't a one-sided effort. It requires both partners to be actively engaged or committed to building that shield together. Would you agree, Isabella?
Absolutely. Marriage is a partnership, and like any successful partnership, it thrives on mutual respect, communication, and shared goals. The shield of faithfulness is something that needs to be co-created with both partners contributing their unique strengths and perspectives.
I love that idea of co-creating a shield. It suggests a sense of teamwork, a shared mission to protect and nurture something precious. What are some ways couples can work together to build up this shield, practically speaking?
Well, one of the most important things is to have regular conversations about your relationship, both the good and the bad. Create a safe space where you can openly and honestly share your thoughts, feelings, and concerns without fear of judgment or criticism.
So it's not about waiting until there's a problem to have these conversations, but making them a regular part of your relationship routine.
Exactly. Think of it like a relationship checkup where you can take the temperature of your connection, celebrate your wins, and address any areas that need attention. These conversations don't have to be heavy or formal. You can make them a part of your everyday interactions, whether it's during dinner on a walk or just before bed.
I like the idea of making these conversations casual and organic rather than feeling like a chore or an interrogation. What else can couples do to strengthen their shield of faithfulness together?
Another powerful practice is to create shared rituals and traditions that reinforce your bond and remind you of your commitment to each other. This could be anything from a weekly date night to a special anniversary celebration, or even just a simple ritual of sharing a cup of coffee together each morning. These shared experiences create a sense of connection and belonging, strengthening your sense of we-ness as a couple.
I love that idea of creating we-ness rituals. It's like weaving a tapestry of shared memories and experiences that strengthens the fabric of your relationship.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the power of physical touch and affection. Holding hands, cuddling, kissing, these simple acts of physical intimacy release oxytocin, the bonding hormone, which helps to strengthen feelings of trust and connection. Make time for these moments of closeness, even if it's just a quick hug before you head out the door in the morning. It can make a big difference in how you feel about each other and your relationship.
It's a reminder that intimacy isn't just about sex. It's about those small, everyday gestures of love and affection that say, I'm here for you, I see you, I care about you.
Exactly. And these acts of physical touch don't have to be limited to romantic gestures. A playful back rub, a gentle arm around the shoulder, a warm embrace. These expressions of care and support can go a long way in strengthening your bond and fostering a sense of security within your relationship.
You know, Isabel, as we're talking about these practical strategies for building the shield of faithfulness, I'm realizing that many of these ideas overlap with general relationship advice. It seems like the principles that contribute to a strong and faithful marriage are also the principles that contribute to a strong and healthy relationship overall.
That's a great observation, Alexander, and it makes perfect sense when you think about it. Faithfulness at its core is about honoring our commitments and treating our partners with love, respect, and integrity. These are the same qualities that form the foundation of any successful and fulfilling relationship, regardless of whether or not it's defined by religious beliefs.
I think that's an important point to highlight for our listener. The principles we're discussing today aren't just for those who subscribe to a particular religious doctrine. They're universal principles that can benefit any couple who is committed to building a strong and loving relationship.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the things that makes Ken's work so powerful. He's able to take these ancient teachings and make them relevant and accessible to a wide audience, regardless of their background or beliefs. He's tapping into something fundamental about human nature and our desire for connection, belonging, and lasting love.
And speaking of Ken's work, I'm curious to know more about his background and what led him to dedicate his life to helping couples build stronger marriages. Can you tell us a bit about his journey, Isabella?
Of course, Ken's passion for marriage enrichment stems from a combination of personal experience, professional expertise, and a deep-seated belief in the transformative power of relationships. He's been married for over 47 years to his wife, and together they've navigated the ups and downs, the joys and challenges that come with building a life together.
That's impressive. It sounds like he brings a wealth of firsthand knowledge to his work, not just theoretical ideas.
Absolutely. He's not just talking the talk, he's walking the walk. And in addition to his personal experience, he has a strong professional background in marriage enrichment education. He's a certified marriage educator and has worked extensively with couples, both individually and in group settings, for over 3 decades.
Wow, so he really is an expert in this field. It sounds like he's combined his personal passion with his professional expertise to create something truly special.
Exactly. And he's incredibly passionate about sharing his knowledge and experience with others. He's developed various programs and resources over the years, all aimed at equipping couples with the skills and knowledge they need to thrive in their relationships.
And of course, one of his most notable programs is Marriage Armor, which we've been discussing today. What I find so fascinating about this program is how he's taken the concept of the armor of God, a spiritual metaphor, and applied it so effectively to the realm of marriage.
It's a brilliant approach. By drawing those parallels, he's able to tap into the power of that imagery and make these ancient principles relevant and accessible to modern couples. He's not just quoting scripture, he's interpreting it in a way that speaks to the hearts and minds of people today.
And it's not just about theory. It's about providing couples with practical strategies they can implement in their daily lives. It's like he's giving couples a toolkit for building a strong and resilient relationship.
Exactly. He offers concrete advice on communication, conflict, resolution, intimacy, and all the essential elements of a healthy and fulfilling marriage. He doesn't shy away from the tough topics, but he always approaches them with a sense of hope and optimism.
It's like he's saying, yes, marriage can be challenging, but it's also incredibly rewarding. And with the right tools and mindset, you can create a love that lasts.
Precisely. And one of the things I admire most about Ken's approach is his emphasis on being proactive and intentional in our relationships. It's not about waiting for problems to arise. It's about creating a solid foundation from the start and continuing to nurture that foundation throughout the journey.
That reminds me of something we were discussing earlier about the importance of having regular conversations about your relationship, even when things are going well. It's about staying connected, checking in with each other, and making sure you're both on the same page.
Absolutely. It's like tending a garden. You can't just plant the seeds and expect them to flourish without any effort. You have to weed out the threats, provide nourishment, and create the right conditions for growth. And the same is true for our relationships. They require ongoing care and attention if we want them to thrive.
It's a journey, not a destination, as they say. And it sounds like Ken's work provides a roadmap for that journey, a guide for navigating the inevitable twists and turns that come with building a life together.
Exactly. And I think that's why his teachings resonate with so many people. He offers a blend of timeless wisdom and practical advice, presented in a way that's both inspiring and empowering.
Now, I understand that Ken has made some significant changes to his approach in recent years, particularly in light of the pandemic. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yes. Like many of us, Ken had to adapt to the challenges of the pandemic, and he found a way to make his teachings even more accessible to couples.
So he embraced the power of technology.
Exactly. He shifted from in-person workshops to an online format, creating a series of short, engaging videos called 60-Second Marriage Tips.
That's brilliant. In today's fast-paced world, bite-sized content is often the most effective way to reach people.
It certainly is. And these short videos make it easy for couples to incorporate his teachings into their busy lives.
They can watch a video while they're having their morning coffee or taking a quick break from work.
Precisely. And by making his content free and readily available online, he's expanded his reach exponentially.
He's democratized access to marriage enrichment resources.
Exactly. He's removed the barriers of cost and location, making it possible for couples anywhere in the world to benefit from his expertise.
And he's done all of this without compromising the quality or depth of his teachings.
Absolutely. He's still providing valuable insights and practical advice, just in a more concise and accessible format.
It's amazing how he's been able to adapt and innovate even after decades of experience in this field.
It speaks to his passion and dedication to helping couples thrive in their relationships.
And it's a reminder that learning and growth are lifelong pursuits.
Precisely. We can always find new ways to improve our relationships and deepen our connection with our partners.
Now, these 60-second marriage tips cover a wide range of topics, but there seems to be a recurring theme in many of them. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yes. Many of his tips are based on biblical principles, drawing on the wisdom and guidance found in Scripture.
That makes sense considering the whole foundation of Marriage Armor is rooted in the armor of God.
Exactly. He sees a deep connection between spiritual principles and relational health. And he believes that the Bible offers valuable insights into building strong and lasting marriages.
And he's not just quoting Scripture. He's interpreting it in a way that's relevant and applicable to modern couples.
Precisely. He's taking these ancient teachings and making them come alive in a way that's relatable and practical.
For example, he talks about the importance of looking for the needs of your spouse and putting those needs before your own based on Philippians chapter 2, verses 3 and 4.
That's a powerful message. It's about shifting our focus from self-centeredness to other-centeredness, a key principle in any healthy relationship.
And he emphasizes the importance of listening attentively and empathetically to our partners based on James chapter 1, verse 19.
That's so crucial. Effective communication is the cornerstone of any strong relationship, and listening is a vital part of that.
He also reminds us to speak kindly and tenderly to our partners, recognizing that words have the power to hurt or heal based on James chapter 3, verses 5, 6, and 10.
That's a reminder we all need from time to time. Words can have a lasting impact, and it's essential to choose them carefully, especially in our most intimate relationships.
And he encourages couples to prioritize physical intimacy based on 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verses 3 through 5.
Physical touch is a powerful way to express love and connection, and it's an important part of a healthy and fulfilling marriage.
It's fascinating how he's able to weave these biblical principles into his teachings, making them both practical and inspiring.
It's a testament to his deep understanding of both scripture and relationships.
This has been a truly enlightening discussion, Isabella. I think we've gained a much deeper understanding of Ken's approach to marriage enrichment and the importance of proactively guarding our relationships, both from external threats and from the internal doubts and insecurities that can sabotage us from within.
I agree. And it's clear that his passion for helping couples build stronger marriages shines through in his work.
It's inspiring to see how he's taken ancient wisdom and made it relevant and applicable to modern relationships.
Definitely. And I think the concept of marriage armor provides a powerful framework for couples to navigate the complexities of marriage and build a foundation of love, commitment, and faithfulness.
Well, this deep dive has certainly given me a lot to think about. But before we wrap up, is there a final thought you'd like to leave our listener with? Something to ponder as they reflect on what we've discussed.
Absolutely. We've talked a lot about the external threats to marriage, the fiery darts that can chip away at our commitment and connection, and the practical steps we can take to build up our defenses. But what about the internal threats? The doubts, the fears, the insecurities that can sabotage our relationships from within?
That's a powerful question, Isabella. What are some of the inner armor strategies we can cultivate to strengthen our resilience, boost our self-esteem, and foster a deeper sense of self-love?
That's where we'll pick up in our next segment. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after a short break to explore this crucial aspect of building a strong and faithful marriage.
It's fascinating to think about the idea of inner armor. In the context of marriage, we've been talking a lot about external threats and how to build defenses against them.
Yes.
But as you pointed out, Isabel, sometimes the biggest battles we face are the ones within ourselves.
That's so true.
So how can we cultivate that inner armor you mentioned? What are some practical strategies for strengthening our self-esteem and fostering a deeper sense of self-love? Because I think you're right that inner strength is essential for weathering the storms that inevitably come in any marriage.
Well, one of the most powerful things we can do is to practice self-compassion.
Right.
Instead of beating ourselves up for our mistakes or shortcomings, we can learn to treat ourselves with the same kindness and understanding that we would offer a close friend.
It's like that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup. If we're constantly criticizing and judging ourselves, we'll have nothing left to give to our partners.
Exactly. Self-compassion is about recognizing that we're all human, we all make mistakes, and we're all worthy of love and acceptance flaws and all of it. It's about silencing that inner critic and replacing it with a voice of kindness and encouragement.
I could see how that shift in mindset could have a ripple effect, not only on our own well-being, but also on our relationships.
Absolutely. When we feel good about ourselves, we're more likely to show up in our relationships with confidence and authenticity. We're less likely to take things personally or react defensively, and we're more open to giving and receiving love.
It's like we're creating a more stable and secure foundation for our marriage, built on a solid sense of self-worth.
Exactly. And self-compassion isn't just about being kind to ourselves and our thoughts. It's also about taking actions that support our well-being. This could include things like getting enough sleep, eating nourishing foods, moving our bodies in ways that feel good, spending time in nature, pursuing hobbies that bring us joy, or connecting with friends and family who uplift and inspire us.
It's about recognizing that taking care of ourselves isn't selfish. It's essential.
Precisely. It's about filling our own cups so we have something to offer to others.
And what about boundaries? I know we talked about setting boundaries in relationships with people of the opposite sex as a way to protect our marriages from external threats. But do you think boundaries also play a role in cultivating that inner armor?
Absolutely. Boundaries are essential for protecting our time, energy, and emotional well-being. They're about recognizing our limits and communicating those limits clearly and respectfully to others.
So this could include things like saying no to requests that drain us, or setting aside time for ourselves to recharge and reconnect with our own needs.
Exactly. And it's also about learning to set boundaries with our own negative thoughts and behaviors. This might mean catching ourselves when we start to engage in self-criticism or limiting our exposure to media or social media that triggers feelings of inadequacy or insecurity.
I love that idea of setting boundaries with our own minds. It's
Yeah.
about taking ownership of our mental and emotional space and choosing to cultivate thoughts and beliefs that support our well-being.
Precisely. And it's not always easy. Our minds have a way of defaulting to familiar patterns, even if those patterns aren't serving us. But with practice and intention, we can learn to redirect our thoughts and create a more positive and supportive inner environment.
So it's a journey just like building a strong and faithful marriage. It's about showing up for ourselves with the same commitment and dedication that we show up for our partners.
Exactly. And remember, this journey of self-discovery and personal growth is a lifelong adventure. There will be ups and downs, challenges, and triumphs along the way. But with each step we take, we're becoming more resilient, more self-aware, and more capable of creating the kind of love we desire.
This has been such an insightful and empowering conversation, Isabella. I feel like I've gained a whole new perspective on what it means to build a strong and lasting marriage, both from the outside in and from the inside out.
I'm so glad to hear that, and I hope our listener is feeling inspired to embark on their own journey of strengthening their inner armor and creating a love that thrives.
Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and insights with us today, Isabella. It's been a privilege to deep dive into this topic with you.
The pleasure has been all mine, Alexander. And to our listener, thank you for joining us on this exploration. May you find the strength, courage, and self-love to create a marriage that is truly fulfilling and resilient.
Thank you for that, Alexander and Isabella. I wanted to make a few clarifying comments regarding what these talked about. And I do think it's important to know of the background of the people who you listen to and know where they're getting their training from. So about 20 years ago, while being trained as a lay peer counselor at a large church, I felt God was calling me to marriage ministry, and more specifically to reduce the divorce rate among Christians. I enrolled in seminary. I completed about 40 units toward my master's in pastoral counseling and chaplaincy, Christian leadership. And before finishing that degree, I was hired by a nonprofit, Healthy Relationships California. Um, Prior to that, I had formed a nonprofit called Marry for Keeps, which we received 4 grants. Three of them were federal grants. Some of them were subawards, and then I got one foundation grant. This was to prepare me to and also to present marriage enrichment at churches. So then I worked for 6 years at Healthy Relationships California. When I moved to Connecticut, um, I started doing marriage um, enrichment workshops at some churches, not through Healthy Relationships California. I was no longer employed with Healthy Relationships California when I moved to Connecticut. And so I did these workshops at churches where we would have to charge for the materials and things of that nature. And then the pandemic came on, and then I switched from doing these in-house workshops to these social media and YouTube channels, and formed the organization 60 Seconds to Enrich LLC. And so that gives you just a background on where I'm coming from regarding these programs. So I hope you enjoyed this program, and I hope you continue to tune in. Thank you so much.